baby girl. Dude. Yeah, it was a rough one today. And I deleted all my trades. But it was bad. But I think I still only lost like 20 points in the end. Now, this is fine because you can't win them all. And yeah, I mean, I had a really good trade in the beginning of the day that I'll show you, but can't win them all. But let's talk through it, baby. I'll try not to make this one 2 hours. But look, it's not a magic pill. This is good. This is like bringing us back down to earth. And this is going to help us refine our shit. If you'll notice, I'm trying to set up a system where I can figure out like I can make my logs and figure out what the best way where to put the most weight, what to prioritize. Is it VWAP? Is it point of control? Is it volume? Is it zones? You know? That makes me think. So, and obviously, I can't, my brain doesn't work, so I need ChatGPT to help. So we're just going about our usual business, boys. We're doing the usual, where are my demand zones, where are my supply zones on the higher time frame. And this first one that I took was risque. So you kind of see that. Baby girl. Actually, let's go back up for a sec. Because this was something that we drew out here. It was an interesting day, and it felt weird, but maybe it's just because I had biases that I maybe was holding on to. It felt like I was changing my bias, but when I did, it was just too late. And that's on me, obviously. So this is the bigger zone, you know. Baby girl, I don't want to be looking at all that. Okay, we're going through the motions. We're seeing what's what. I'll draw it here. We'll make this. This is a daily zone. So this is important because this is the biggest zone that we have that we end up touching today. So we're just, as we're going down, just keep in mind what level was that. What level was that zone at? I'm sure there's a way. Yeah, look at that. So we can kind of see our zone. That's why this application has everything. This is 1 day. So what are we going to put more weight on? 1 day or 1 hour, right? Of course, it's all the way over there. That's fine. You know, just keep going down. I like those two for now. And then we'll draw yesterday's volume profile and today's. It's so nice having all this stuff. I love stuff. Volume prof. And volume prof. And yesterday's volume profile, we did not even like. I don't think we even touched it. Like we gapped down. Am I on replay? I am, right? Today is Thursday. Yeah, today's Thursday. Oops. Okay. Yeah, so that's Wednesday. Really screwing this up. Yeah, that's the Globex session volume profile that we draw out the whole day. Yeah, great. So now that doesn't mean shit. But we have this one above us, so we'll be fine. Yeah, Wednesday, 1801. Draw that reg channel in there, baby. Make sure I'm recording. Okay. We got VWAP. And let's just get this train rolling. You would draw in the volume profile. Somewhere around here. Let's just draw it in. But just know that it doesn't, like, they're super thin. Do you see these two red lines are the value area, and there's a huge gap between these two. So should be like I still had my bullishness, but should be a little. We should be wary about that at this point. Like we're in a downtrend, macro. Okay, we're at 9 o'clock. What was I seeing going on here? Okay, so I must have had this. Oh my god, I must have had this zone up higher. Because I took it as God's word. Not to spoil anything. We're in that zone. Make it make sense. Okay. Okay, so what are we seeing? Let's pretend the zone is up here. Like, okay. What did we see here? I saw, like, this popped out. Okay, just remember that there's a zone down here. There's a big fat zone because that's a big part of why we took this trade, okay? Because of the higher time frame. Still risky, but we're breaking out of a slightly bullish whatchamacallit. We're breaking out of a slightly bullish 1801 channel. We're popping into this thing here. This little kind of situation. And I don't think I bought on this one. Maybe I bought on this one and just accepted much worse risk because I don't think I like nailed the bottom. That doesn't make any sense. But it was pre 9:30. But when I saw it bounce, it's breaking out of the reg channel. It is inching down. It's in this zone. It's in this higher time frame zone. Percent is a higher time frame zone. So I'm like, okay, somewhere in this zone, I think it's gonna bounce. I think it's been trending down for a while. Also, in this area of super low volume here. So I said, let's buy. And I said, let's buy. I made like 126 points. So I think I bought up to just VWAP or point of control maybe. Yeah. But yeah, just buy up to VWAP. Even that is like a really good. You're risking still 46, so it's 1 to 2 ish. But it's risky. And at this point, I'm not trading, but like at this point, you should kind of just like um, go down to half size, or because I bought again in here, go down to half size, or what would have saved me today a lot too is like just taking much more conservative targets. So I saw this too. This isn't part of what fucked me up is this isn't like a zone, but I drew that out because it stalled. It hit the bottom of the 930 channel, and what I did was targeted. I think I just like went for broke. I targeted this little supply zone up here. I targeted that supply zone, and it was just too much. I should have targeted this high, like the midlines right there of the 830 channel, 1801 channel. I got a little too ambitious. Maybe I targeted the top of this. I don't know. Either way, it almost made it. It did not. So first L of the day, and like I had a few small cuts that just like bled out this massive win that I started the day with. You can see it like kind of comes into a little zone here, and this is also kind of sketchy because it looks a little bullish. This is where like I got confused. I think I did take one of these trades. I think I took this one. Because like the fact is it's creeping down, and I'm like, oh, it bounced off value area low. I'm thinking value areas aren't great for like holding levels. I don't think they're good bounce points is what happened today. But what else was wrong here? I think I did also a lot of buying and selling in the middle of these channels. So there's nothing about this. Like it goes into, it's like this candle goes up into VWAP, doesn't break through it, fails to break through, bouncing off of value area low, which is kind of bullshit. So that was another silly one that lost me some money. And I think I might have actually done the candle. But we should be doing a zone, so let's draw it out the right way. Okay, keep going, baby. Today was a stressful day, too. Just at work and this. I'm also looking for a bounce here, because we're back in this demand zone. I actually looked for a couple of bounces. Oh yeah, I bought right here, too. And I bought right here. But look, at this point, the 930 channel is just down. And I'm still like, oh, well, it's at the bottom of the channel, so maybe it's got to go back to the top. No, it doesn't, dude. It never has to go to, even though it's like statistical and sometimes the levels that it go to seem like magical and like perfectly hits the top or the bottom, but it doesn't have to go up there. Just because it's up there doesn't mean it's gonna go up there. So I blew that one. Oh no, it was this one because this was the bounce of the zony baloney. So we blew that one, just like a bunch of small, again, just like fucking paper cuts. And then it bounces down here. And I can't remember if I took this one. I feel like this one's going to work, and I should have taken it, but I didn't. Look at how sketchy that is. Ooh, I don't. So here's one that you would have been safe if you took this. If you say you waited for the break of that, use this low, this candle, and you just got to be conservative. You can't target the VWAP, especially at this point where we're like, because this looked good. This was like okay, we're intersecting, we're kind of like bouncing right off the green, right off this zone. But this again like goes to show you how important the trend is and how important the direction of this reg channel is, because it did bounce off the green reg channel. It did bounce off of a demand zone. It did kind of bounce off of a higher demand zone, but it just couldn't get back up to VWAP. And those things were strong enough that you could have scalped out a little bit without getting stopped out. You could have scalped up 50, if you call that a scalp. You could have taken a 1-to-1. You could have just taken this high, And where's the motherfucking yummy? The other thing is, this is kind of, so if you're buying from like here, it's kind of like a volume agnostic area. This zone especially is like very like, could go either way really. So not the best place to buy. And I keep thinking like, yeah, this is a downtrend, but at some point it has to go up and hit the other end of the channel. Or I'm thinking this is the reversal that breaks out. But when that's like a best laid plans kind of thing. Like, it's just not going to play out the way you think it is. And the fact is, like, these are still giving you good entries for little scalps, Like, it's not the worst. And then on the way down here, I'm more wary, but I'm still looking for a move up. But I'm also starting to really, I'm like, okay, I was wrong about this thing going up. It's going to go up eventually, but I was incorrect about whatever I was thinking. Now we had like a zone form up here. We have it bounce a little bit off kind of a zone that's forming right here, but it's not a very good zone. And I might have gotten faked out by this candle. I might have gotten, actually I think I might have gotten faked out here too. Here's what's happening. This is kind of the top, like, that was point of control. And the other thing is it like really nicely bounced at the top, or, I mean, we'll just see. We'll just see it. So if I did get faked out here, it's because this big red candle, it's because it looks like we don't want to go any lower than any higher than the bottom of the green channel. It's because like all this stuff looks good to go short. So that's not that crazy. It's not a great zone. And volume, there's no volume anywhere lower. There's like, yeah, you could argue there's going to be, well, there's that node down there, so. Oops. But apparently that node was just like sellers offloading, as it were. So yeah, I remember, like, got faked out somewhere around here. It was probably this. Like, at the value area low. And yet, also, some days, it just doesn't work. It did, like, work. It works. But some days, like, your confluences just don't do what they should. Now here, when this is a supply zone that's backed by volume, this is also intersecting with VWAP. This is important. You're for sure in a downtrend. And this is where it's weird, because it's like, obviously the downtrend's not strong enough to take this or this. It needs more volume or something, or liquidity. People don't think it's expensive enough to sell. So I think VWAP is like important. Now what happens here? Another little rejection of this area. Okay. This candle right here. Supply zone. VWAP. Let's write it out. Supply zone backed by volume. VWAP. Point of control is right below us. So yeah, it's like kind of, you had this huge move up. So you can expect a little bit of a reaction, but you know, it kind of hurts to just take a small target like this, but you might just have to take the point of control. I mean, this is a little 1-to-1. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. If you want to get more aggressive, you're going to take like, I probably like targeted down here with it, and that's why I got obliterated. Oh no, you know what happened? I didn't take this one. Yeah, you can take that low. But the fact is, this is one of those things where it's just like higher lows, higher lows, higher lows into an area of supply. We saw this like the first day that we tried this out on Monday. It's just prices pushing up into a place that we want to short, and we can still short there and get some kind of reaction, but it's just with all this power, it's not going to be the reaction that we want. And then, yeah, you're kind of bouncing off the top of that a little bit. Let's see what else happens. So I actually shorted here a little bit. But this is like where you should see this. I didn't see that. So you actually would be good to take it to the low if you want. Might be a little risky at this point to take it through the POC, but I don't think it's too crazy to take the low there. But yeah, if you're being conservative, I mean, you can just, with all these confluences, but also knowing the trend is fucked, like, you could just kind of double down and try to take that with like 2 or 3 contracts. But don't do that. So yeah, like, but do you kind of know what I'm talking about, where it's like, oh, we get this big move up, and then doesn't really break much higher, and then it goes down, and you're like, oh, this is where we're finding a bottom, but then it can't push any higher, then it goes lower, and then like, okay, well, now it's a downtrend, but then these don't go any lower, they go higher. So I'm not saying like maybe somebody saw it much clearer than I did, but that's just where my head was at. That's why I fucked it up today. And then here again, you're thinking this is short. And I was still in it because my target was down here. Was I? Yeah, because I put my stop up here. I remember now. I was still in this. And you get another bounce off VWAP and the zone. So you're like, ooh, looking good, baby. But what happens, man? It pops right through that zone. Because it's finding a bottom. You see these 3 touches right here? It's finding a bottom with the point of control. It obviously doesn't want to stay any lower. So this is just not, I feel like this is like very similar to what happened, where the lows keep creeping up on the area that we can't break through, and then we just break through it. So like at this point, and I had a thought right here to take it out, because I was like, this could be a triple bottom. But I didn't. Silly me. So I just gotta be aware of those. I think I had trouble with what do you call it? Just bad management of trades today. You know. Like another little supply zone up there. And we're just looking at this thing, and it's definitely turning into like a B-shaped profile, okay? There's no volume up here. It doesn't want to go up here. The point of control, you'll see, gets a lot closer to value area low than value area high. It feels like summer today. It's nice and fucking warm. It just keeps like disrespecting the VWAP, like it messes with it. Kind of a midline bounce. Kind of. And I'm sure I took something in here. I don't know. But, you know. So I would say, like, I was really confused by this price action today. I won't lie. And if I keep it faked out like that, like, if I can't take smaller risks on these were like quote unquote paper cuts, but they're actually pretty substantial. Like, they completely blew out my win from here. First, take this, take that, and go home. Yeah, I just got kind of euphoric. I was like, oh, I picked another bottom, and then it's going to keep going. That's why I got to get back in up here. But no, it's going to tell you what's going on. So yeah, I'm not super interested in the rest, like, because I was just like, okay, well, I obviously don't have a good read on price action. This was a little zone up here. Actually, I wonder what happened here. Let's see if this is also a big ass candle. So if you're shorting that, like, you need to have some deep pockets there. What is going on here? That's another one that, like, yeah, it works out if you short that, but that's very volume agnostic. It's like not a high, it's not a low. Are we going to go back to point of control? Maybe. Maybe we're going to go higher to this volume node. It did kind of bounce out of there, though, I'll say. It's still in a downtrend. So yeah, I'm not 100% on that. And we just broke through VWAP. So like maybe we're going to retest VWAP and keep going. So I'm not crazy about that short there. But draw out the zone, see what it tells you. And we'll go back and like kind of try to hammer down what really worked today. Why did it work? $14. And now it is getting late in the day, but at this point I was looking at like, okay, we made the big move down, so maybe we're gonna break lower, bounce off of these. This is a zone. I drew this out, you know. And then it kind of starts bouncing. Yeah, like it starts bouncing before it gets there, which happens. But you're kind of in no man's land unless you look at this as like a higher time frame. I think if you look at it like this, but I'm not wacky about that either. You're kind of in no man's land where you bounce here. Again, look, just like there's kind of a ledge almost of volume, but it's not huge. It's not like this. It's not like this. And there's super low volume below. There's, even if you are longing here, there's kind of a node right here. So it's like, are you gonna bounce there? So that volume isn't super telling. And I had this drawn out, but it also didn't get up here before in a day, I don't think. Like it just is kind of, it's like a lot of wicks going on. I know it's the 1 minute, but it just feels like a lot of wicks. But and then it touches this, but I think it just busts straight through. You get a bounce. I think I bought in for a second, and then I was like, okay, these two candles right after it, no. It's a lot of like, it'll be a lot of like, the candle looks like this. that doesn't look like a candle. It's like, oh, there's a really bullish tampon, right? And then it's at an area that's really interesting, so you're like, okay, I'm gonna buy it. And then you buy it, and then it goes up, and then it comes down immediately, and it's like, oh, well, this is actually what I think. And you're long here, and you're like, but it looks so good to buy right here. And then it's like, well, actually, it fakes you out again, and then I was like, well, actually, no. If it's that indecisive after you take what looks to be a really good trade, and it might be a good spot, like textbook wise, like they might have VWAP and point control and so buy it. But if the price action is telling you that it's just like not certain, might be time to get out in there somewhere. Bow. Okay. So yeah, we go straight through the bottom there. And here I'm also like, I mean, it's 3:30. But I'm like, this would be a great place for it to bounce. But I didn't buy in here. Unless I did, and then I got out. And then... oh, maybe I did, and then it just takes you out. It wants to go deeper into that zone. Gets real weird because we're at the end of the day. And then it just keeps going down. So, it's not going to bounce just because you want it to. You know? It's not. So I say, let's clean this up a little bit and let's take a look at the ones that really worked. What were the good ones today? Because this was a learning lesson for me. This was like, get more conservative with targets if you're not certain. Wait for that setup. I mean, it's just the usual shit, you know? Here's one. Let's take a look at this short that worked for a little bit. Again, I think I kind of covered why it's like important to not try to ride this down. You can leave a runner, no problem. But I think with your first initial sell off here, it's important because of this bing, 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 going higher. We're coming up from, like, for all you know, it's just going to bounce off the top of this and keep going, and it kind of does that. But the fact is, VWAP, good demand zone with not a high value, like, this is a high volume node. If it was POC, that would be a little more convincing. But, so supply zone with some volume behind it. VWAP, your point control is down here. That's why I'm thinking like, I'm not sure about this trend, but I'm sure about a reaction here. So maybe just like take a few contracts just down to POC. The low works out too, though. Take fewer contracts down to the low. Something interesting that I learned about today is this little number here on the reg channels. I'm not like 100% certain on if it's clean, if it's useful. But it is, so the closer it is to 1 or -1, the better fit the price action is for this, to my understanding. So it's roughly, very roughly, you could say like a 1 would mean we can respect these levels pretty well. But you'll know, like, it changes. So this is 0.94. That's almost 1. And we did get like some good bounces here, especially off the top. Okay. Then we come up here and we touch the top. Still strong, but as it moves, that number gets further away from 1 because it's like less confident. I don't know how I feel about that. For one thing, it's just another thing to think of, and for two thing. But let's see how it looks when we. Because the other thing is, it's not like it's a break, it's a failed break, but it's not a bounce of this line, so it doesn't really do us much good here. We're outside the channel. Okay, so I like that one. I like that for a nice little scalp. Don't get faked out here because of this big impulse. And yeah, I mean, it is very tempting, but what's the volume look like? Not very good. I feel like I'm putting a lot of weight on volume, but I do feel pretty confident about the volume. It feels like it's legit. So here's where you could have taken a little scalpy poo. No, it was right here. Higher time frame zone, recent demand zone, and that's not a good candle, honestly. Neither is that. So, like, you know what? Maybe this is just one you don't take at all, actually. But if you're insisting on like finding where this bounces, but I mean, it's so wicky. I think that just wasn't even a good play. So I'm just gonna delete that. That wasn't a good play. We're in a strong downtrend. This was a bad play. Didn't even work. This was a bad play. That didn't. I can see why I took it. I can see more why I took this one than why I took this one. But I'm gonna delete that. So I think just like don't. I need to just not get faked out by like every fucking bounce. You're eventually gonna get it, but you're gonna cut yourself up. It's called catching a falling knife. And this, I wanted to take another look at this because this turned out to be, this was a zone that I didn't draw because I was still bullish at this point. Ooh, yikes, sorry. But I don't like the volume over here. Wait, what did it look like though? Back in time. It's kind of like a little bit of a volume. It's a little bit of a ledge. That's like the edge of the volume situation. But I don't know. I don't think that's too great. I don't think that's great. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to leave this because broke above volume, bouncing off VWAP. I feel like it's not that crazy to expect that to go higher. Like, I feel like that could have worked on a different day. This zone formation might be where I fucked up. That should have been better zone formation. Everything else, though, the candle bouncing off VWAP, bouncing off is this point of control. The candle bouncing off VWAP, yep, bouncing off point of control. Like, that all looks really good. So I'm not going to beat myself up too much about taking a long there. I think that might work another day. So, that was just. But again, like macro, we are in a downtrend, so we might not want to expect like a huge move. So again, like good, kind of like the short over here. Good factors like VWAP, point of control, ish demand zone, bottom of the right channel. A lot of good factors. What's not working is we are in a big macro downtrend and could sell off at any moment. And for that reason, just take it to the high, baby. It is, at that point, though, it becomes very risky. It becomes almost 1-2. Almost 2-1 risk reward. 2 risk, 1 reward. You understand me? So yeah, but again, like, I really don't think it's that crazy to take that trade. Does it lose you 50 points, 57 points if you don't get it? Yes. So I think that's just contextual. Okay. Next, and first, and final, and last. Yeah, I think you just like, your brain has to constantly being like calculating how, like, constantly weighing a few different, like, weighing like macro. That's always in the background. How much weight am I putting on the macro? Here's a new zone. How much weight am I putting on the zone? Here's a recent trend. How much weight am I putting it? Like, all these little things. And then you're like, I got my VWAP point of control, demand zone, you know, whatever I had here. I got those 3. How much weight am I going to put on those 3 to take over the other shit that I just mentioned, you know? And it's all just like, because it's just an odds game, sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. And I think you can make the most out of this by scaling in your head, like scaling all those different factors and being like, just spitting it out like an algorithm, like, here's how much I should scale here or even get in. What's my confidence rating for this, you know? Okay. Did I buy it here? Or did I buy it here? I saw this lower. I think I bought here because I remember I was nervous about it going into this thing. So I think I actually bought. I was nervous about going into the bottom of this targeted VWAP. For a while, I was like, "Do I get out?" Right? Yeah, that's how I got 126. Yeah. Okay, that's what I did. Because it was like at 126 there. So what did it look like? Here. The reg channels were not in my favor. Volume profile, again, it is kind of paradoxical, like, should we be looking at volume profile? It is paradoxical, like, is it going to magnet to point of control, or is it going to bounce from point of control? It could do either. It's probably going to leave low volume areas. Or it could go discoverer, which it did. But it didn't do that here. So I just said, this is a fresh high time frame demand zone. We just got a shitty low time frame demand zone here. And we're just like making that a higher low. This candle is breaking above a couple of candles. Point of control, I think, was above us. Yeah, way up there. So all that, again, risky, but it worked. So if you can just, if you can risk 40 points just off the rip, go for it. Put in one contract. I wouldn't load up on this bad Larry, though. This is really just like trying to pick a bottom, if we're being honest. But that one worked out. And once you fucking get that 125 points, aka $2,500, just pay your rent. You know? Go down to 1 MNQ for the rest of the day. If you see a really good one, I honestly might have been like, oh, I'm gonna take it. But now I'm seeing what happened here, and I'm cementing in my brain. Don't load up there if the macro trend is down. The macro trend is down. Because look at this. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. This is also something I've been kind of neglecting because I don't have multiple windows open, but I'm literally gonna get rid of everything. I can't. But let's look at like this one, and let's look at this one. These are both downtrends, and it looks like we might have a little bounce, but you know, we gapped down. Look at the gap. That's not bullish. I completely ignored that. What was I gonna do here? Yeah. Oh, let's pop down here. Yeah, we zoinked out of that zone. And then this was open over here. Okay. I really enjoyed this platform. Yeah, so like if you extended those, like it kind of comes up and goes down, and actually what's interesting is that if you extend those, the place where it bounced down was kind of a convergence of midlines. So that's something really to consider, you know? If you're in a downtrend, it's like it couldn't break above the midline. It couldn't stay above the midlines back here. It didn't go above the midline here. It pokes above. It doesn't look good to keep going bullish on that. What did it look like here? That's the last thing. And if you drag those out, then you get like a beautiful convergence of the two. That just tells you. Like just, yeah. That's all you need to see. Look at the convergence here and just how it bounces right where that converges. Like perfectly. Perfectly. Okay. So yeah, we learned a few things today.